And we are live. Welcome to Romance Happy Hour. Dylann is back with us today. Hi,
I'm back.
Dylann. Welcome.
Do I
Welcome.
look tan? Do I
You
look
look.
tan? I don't because I was
Do
under
you,
a hat the whole time, but
I was going to say, do you want me to say yes?
no, it's okay.
Okay. Okay. And you were down where? And tell
I
our viewers
was
where you were.
in Aruba at a
Ooh.
little writing mastermind thing, and it's like, how is this my life? I don't know. So
But
it was awesome.
so are you telling me that you went to Aruba and then you actually like had hours where you weren't that you were like writing and not soaking in Aruba?
Well, I wasn't writing. I was doing more businessy marketing, kind
Okay.
of learning and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I wasn't writing, but yes, we were literally in Aruba for I think 3 days before my feet actually touched sand because we were working. Yeah, it's like I need to go to like some basement condo somewhere if I'm going to
Uh-huh.
do writing retreat stuff for
Yeah.
business stuff and not such a beautiful place. But it was really nice.
I mean, that's a great marketing strategy for a writers retreat. Like, hey, come to Aruba
Hmm.
and go to a writers retreat. But then you get there and you think, well, this was a really bad move because now I don't get to
But
enjoy
but then we stayed
Aruba.
after because one
Oh,
of my writing friends has a condo in Aruba, and so then we
oh.
stayed after and got to enjoy more of Aruba, even though
Yeah.
we were still
Okay.
working. But I saw a sea turtle, which I've never seen a sea turtle while snorkeling before, so that made
Nice.
everything worth it.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
although I
Yeah.
inhaled a lot of seawater, and I think that's why I got sick. I came home with a cold.
Mm.
But I think it was because I sucked down so much salt water while I was snorkeling because there was something wrong with my snorkel. But
Oh, that's too bad.
it was.
Oh. But did you see any sharks?
No, 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 no,
Good.
no.
That's
Yeah.
my biggest fear snorkeling. Like, oh, there's a shark. And then I like freak
Well,
out. And then I start treading water and they're like, ooh, food. And then they come and eat me. That's one of my
no,
fears.
I don't think there are a lot of shark attacks in Aruba, but
Oh, good.
if somebody told me that. I don't know if they were just telling me that so I'd feel better or if it's true. But are any of you like big water sport snorkel scuba people?
Yeah, I went to Turks and Caicos this winter.
Oh,
I
nice.
saw a sea turtle too, and it was transformative. Like it
It
was
was
just the
so
most awesome
cool.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't scuba, so I
I've done scuba too.
yeah.
So I've done both, but I mean, I love the water. I'm a swimmer. That's
Mhm.
what I do for exercise. So
Mm.
I'm actually much more graceful in the water than I am on land. So yeah.
I feel like the water did not help me in that department, but that's okay.
I was thinking, I feel like everybody feels more grateful because or graceful because you're just like, shh, and it's kind of like flowy, right? It's flowing
Okay,
against your
don't ruin it for me,
skin,
okay?
and you're feeling very, very air like light and airy. I don't know. That's me then, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like I pretty much look like a drowned rat when I was snorkeling and popping my head up, and of course my hair now, so
Yeah.
short, it's like sticking up all over, but it was fun. So what have you
Nice.
been working on, Dawn?
I'm actually trying to re release some very, very short stories that my husband and I released a while ago, but
Oh,
it was just for our kids. And so it's under a pseudonym.
romance novels for your
No.
children?
No,
No, not
not
romance.
romance, not
Good,
romance.
good. You were scaring me a little bit there.
Yeah. No, just like children's a book for like 9 to 10-year-olds. And
Okay.
honestly, we wrote it together when we lived in Alaska and our children were fighting
Oh,
a lot.
mhm.
And so, for Christmas, we decided to write them a book. And it's like an action adventure in Alaska kind of book where these kids
Cool.
are going to school and they miss the school bus and then they get lost in the Alaska wilderness and then they got to find their way back and they get along. They figure out how to get along on their journey back.
Nice.
So I'm working on re-releasing that because my son's teacher asked me to come and speak at his class and he's in 6th grade and I was like, "Are you sure I'm a romance author?" And she's like, "Yes, I'm sure." Like she wants me to tell them like all about doing your first draft and then your second draft
Mhm.
and then your third draft. And I was like, oh, I don't, I just edit. I don't do three drafts like, Catherine Nolan. But yeah. So I'm doing that. I'm kind of fixing it, getting it re-released and
Okay.
published so that I can bring the books for the kids.
Cool.
Yeah.
When are you speaking?
I don't know. I got to call her.
Okay.
And give her a day this month sometime
Okay.
before school gets out.
I was gonna say
So,
school gets out
yeah.
pretty soon. You better
June for
hurry.
us. June
Yeah.
for us.
You gotta
Yeah.
get those published.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Okay.
what I'm waiting for Amazon to say good to go. So
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah.
Well, cool. Something a little different.
A little different. Yeah. A lot of fun though. All right. So we are joined here by Phoebe. Phoebe, you didn't put your last name.
Phoebe Alexander.
Phoebe Alexander. I know. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. And Cynthia Ann. Welcome, ladies. How are you?
Thank you.
Thank you
Doing
so
good.
much. Thank you for joining us. And why don't we start with Phoebe, because you're going to be reading first tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're reading from, anything you really want our viewers or readers/readers to know.
Sure. I'm Phoebe Alexander. I live near the beach in Delaware, and I have been published for about 12 years. So I write under 2 names, and I have about 60 books published, which is a lot.
Nice.
So
Wow.
trying to decide what to read from and trying to decide what to read from that's PG, very challenging for me. I actually got my readers to help me find a passage. And one reader did recommend the passage I'm going to read from tonight, which is from my book, Mountains Wanted, which is actually the first book I published as Phoebe. And I do have a good story about it. So I'm going to tell you that real quick. Okay. So when I wrote this book, I was going through a divorce. And I'm just going to start off with saying that I'm polyamorous. I write polyromance. So that gives you a little bit of background. But at the time, I was seeing somebody that was my friend with benefits. Okay. He was younger than me. And I really had strong feelings for him, but we were kind of at different places in our lives. I already had kids, like I said, he was younger than me. He is the one that challenged me to write a book. And he said he would help me with said book. And I honestly don't think that I would be doing this as a career right now if it wasn't for him, because he was my alpha reader. And I would write a chapter and I would take it over to his house and he would read it. And the main male character is in the military, and he is also former military. So he helped me a lot with that kind of stuff. And I wrote the book thinking I'm going to write a happy ending for these 2 characters that are very much like him and I, because I'm not going to get that happy ending with him. But guess what? We've been married for 10 years now.
Oh.
So
Karma.
I tell people that I literally wrote our happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
So
you manifest
it doesn't happen in book 1, but it does happen in book 2. And I really don't think I would be doing this. I wouldn't be married to him if it wasn't for this book, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So this book changed my entire life.
Wow.
So that's my story.
Can we
powerful.
See, yeah.
Good.
Is that him on the cover?
That is not him on the cover. I wish it were. But he did look closer to this when I first met him than he does now. But we won't. I also look different than I did when I first met him. So I'm not gonna get on his case about that. That's for sure.
Nice, Dawn. Real nice.
I know. Sorry. I got a question that'll put you. Well, I mean, I guess you already actually answered that. Well, sort of. We'll get into it later.
Okay.
You and me later. We'll all have a conversation later. It's a question that we ask all of our authors. I'm just getting the mystery going. All right.
Foreshadowing. I like it.
Dylan's shaking her head.
Anyway,
She's mad at me.
So before I actually read my passage, you were asking what I'm working on.
Yeah.
I'm an editor in my day job, and I also host events, and I'm getting ready to host an event next month in Florida, but I'm also getting ready to go to a lot of events this summer. So I'm actually not writing anything right now. I've just been super busy, and my youngest son actually went through cancer this past year. So I haven't written anything since he was not, I did have to finish 2 pre-orders that I had up like after his diagnosis, but once he started going through chemo, I didn't write anything, but I'm very happy to say that his scans were clear and he's in remission now. He just turned 20 and he's getting ready to come home from college for the summer, and I'm just super grateful and just can't wait for him to be home, and just he deserves to have a nice fun summer. So I'm sure I'll get back into writing like after the summer's over and I've done all my events and all of that. So
well, I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, so you want me to go ahead and read them?
Let's hear from Cynthia, and then about her, and then we'll pop over to you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Cynthia. Introduce yourself, what you're reading from, and everything.
Yeah. My name is Cynthia Ann, and I'm going to be reading from my debut, which is Not Another Diva. And a little background about how this was inspired. I wrote this right around the whole Pete Davidson, Ariana Grande era, because I was very intrigued by the cringe in the spotlight and how relationships, there's always that, is this PR? Is this real? So this is a fake dating relationship between sort of a fish out of water guy trying to be a model who happens to have a background in martial arts, and a pop star that needs a bodyguard, but she doesn't want the paparazzi to know he's a bodyguard. So they're fake dating so he can be close to her. So the part I'm going to read is sort of that they have to kiss on camera. The whole idea behind the relationship is, they met while they were filming a video, and he's like the model that was her love interest in the video, and they create a relationship develops from that. That was the public story about how they get together, but the private story is obviously this secret fake dating bodyguard situation. Funny thing, this is not the first book I wrote. It's probably the 5th book, and I've since written multiple in between, and I'm now 5 years after I wrote it, getting into actually publishing it and finishing it as a series. So it becomes this whole love under the spotlight, sort of the up and coming, seeking fame, finding romance on the road or as a roadie for a band, that kind of thing. And all of the stories kind of surround the whole idea of a bodyguard and somebody famous. So I'm working currently on the last book in the series, finishing it, as well as prepping the 2nd book for publishing next month. So my first book baby is about to get a sibling, and I'm really excited for the 2nd one because years went by between the 2 books that I wrote, so I can definitely in my own writing see my development and just the strength of my voice and things like that within the book. So it's scary but exciting to put it all out there, and I hope people love it.
Yeah.
So is it the same as Phoebe's story? Did you like meet a bodyguard when you were famous?
Oh,
Dinner or something and end up married, or no?
No, my husband is not a bodyguard. He was. We actually have a fun story, and I should write that. But
okay,
it was
so
a literal. Oh, should I wait?
I'm just gonna say we're gonna listen to it, but I might as well just ask the question now since they're bringing me the question. So Cynthia, we'll let you finish, then we'll go back to Phoebe. This is the question I was going to ask at the end. But if your love life was a trope, what would it be? So Cynthia, sorry Phoebe, that's the one I was going to that I was like bugging you about.
I'll tag that on the end. I'll tag that on the end because there's a couple of them. I met him literally. It was across a crowded room, strangers across a crowded room. We both saw each other and we both went, ooh, that one. And lo and behold, we had a mutual friend that was with us at the time. It was literally in a club, like when we were in our early 20s, the last place you expect to like really meet someone, that you're going to spend your life with, as opposed to, hook up or whatever. And my friend went, oh, I know those guys. And I went, oh, you do? Let's go meet them. And she was like, no. And next thing I know, he's dancing right next to us. And, the rest is history, as they say. We started talking and we exchanged phone numbers, and I drove home with her and said, I think I just met the guy I'm going to marry. And
Ooh.
4 years later, we did. It was
Wow.
so kind of insta love, and
Yeah.
sadly, it was a little bit of rivals / enemies to lovers, because it wasn't like all hearts and flowers at the beginning. It was like attraction and, oh, you irritate me. But we worked through all that stuff.
Oh, irritating. I mean, my husband irritates the crap out of me too. And
Right?
I
Right?
love him dearly, but I also want to punch him in the face on occasion. So I mean, I don't, but I
Yeah.
want to. I
Yeah.
get it. I get it.
Mhm,
That's the
mhm.
best kind of love, is the ones where you're irritated at them, but you still love them
Yes.
enough to make them coffee in the morning. All right, Phoebe, what about you? What are your tropes?
Well, so for my relationship, it's just like in the book, it's older woman, younger man. He's only 7 years younger than me, but because I already had I had kids young, so
Mhm.
my oldest is getting ready to turn 28. So he's not old enough to be dad to my oldest, you know.
Mhm.
But so that, and then he's a cop, so
Ooh,
man in uniform, I guess, kind of thing.
I love a man
And
in
then we are both just like nerdy. We are just very nerdy. So that's a trope, nerd
Mhm.
romance. So
Yeah,
yeah, I would say those things.
I
Nice.
love it. I love it. Did you guys meet during? No, you didn't. You already told us how you met, but like, yeah. I mean, I love
Well,
to.
we met online actually. We met
You
on
met-
it on an adult site.
Oh,
Really?
Which when you're in the lifestyle, that's kind of how you meet people, because people are not actually going around flashing pineapples at people. There's not really like a signal that says, hey, I'm open to stuff, So you
Yeah.
do meet a lot of people online, and I did meet him online. And the kind of the story there is I was a blogger on this site, and another way we sort of really connected is I hosted a bloggers bash, and he sort of went as my bodyguard, believe it or not, which is kind of funny since
Oh, that
what
is
actually
funny.
yeah.
true. But because he's a cop, I was afraid of some things going down. It's a long story, but there's a lot of drama on the blogs. The blogs were actually like a very good way for me to prepare for being a romance writer.
No kidding.
So
It sounds like
we
it.
have a lot of drama sometimes, and in the community, as you know. So like I'm always like, yes, being a blogger on AFF totally prepared me for all of this. But anyway, yeah. So all of that.
Nice. I love it. Oh my gosh, you're literally living your book.
Well, we don't know. We haven't heard the book yet.
I know we haven't. Let's hear it though.
Yes.
Let's get to you. Let's put you up there. Let's
Right.
hear your
You're
love.
right.
Is
I have to
this
set it up a little bit first because this scene actually happens like 3/4 of the way through the first book. So
yes?
just to set it up, like I said, James and Sarah met, and they're friends with benefits, and she's a lot older than him. She's a single mom. She's got 2 kids. Her oldest is a teenager. She's a sociology professor, and he is an ROTC instructor at the same campus. So that's how they met. But they're friends with benefits, but there's like obviously a lot of chemistry, a lot of connection, and she's poly. And so she's okay with, having relationships with more than one person, but she falls really hard for him. And then they get into a huge fight because he goes home to Ohio, and she finds out that he met up with an ex of his, and he didn't tell her. And that's part of, this ethical non-monogamy. Part of it is being very open and transparent about, what you're doing. You're supposed to be able to share all that openly with your partners, and he didn't do that. So she was really upset, and she stormed out, and then they didn't talk. She didn't answer his calls, and she went to a conference in Denver, and he conspired with her best friend and ended up in Colorado and kind of crashed her party. So this scene takes place when they drive down to Colorado Springs and go to Garden of the Gods. And if you've ever been to Garden of the Gods, it is literally one of the most stunning, beautiful places in the entire world. And Sarah's from Colorado, so she feels like a really strong connection to that place. And he also visited there as a child. So this is an interesting place where they have a conversation about sort of what went wrong. And I'm going to go ahead and dig in then. And I can't read it from the book because I'm too old to read from the book without my glasses. So I had to print it out. The spirits of our child selves are running about, she noted wistfully. I can feel them, playing, laughing. As she stretched out her arms, the golden sunlight captured the auburn highlights in her rich, dark, wavy hair, casting a glow all around her, an aura of pure energy. She twirled in a circle, absorbing all the beauty surrounding her while James drank in her radiance, an earth goddess reconnecting to her terrestrial home. He caught her in his arms. So I finally get to see you in your element, Dr. Lind. He smiled, stroking her hair that was flying in the breeze. You seem like you belong here. Another timeless beauty. Sarah looked into his eyes. That may be the highest compliment I've ever been paid. She was stunned at how deeply it moved her. She was silent after that, still letting his words soak in. They started down the trail hand in hand. There was much unspoken between them, but she knew it would come out. It would all come out. But for now, she felt steeped in a shimmery peace and was happy sharing the big, wide, beautiful world with the man she loved. But at lunch, the dam broke. They were perched near Balanced Rock, the site of her first picnic in the park nearly 30 years ago. How simple her problems were then at age 8. But there was nothing simple about this. Not her feelings, not James's desires, nor either of their actions. Here's what I want to know, Sarah began boldly. What's her name? James made no attempt at being elusive this time. Maggie, he replied, Maggie Carson. Why didn't you tell me about Maggie? She could see him mentally organizing his words. When I first started talking to her a few months ago on Facebook, it was surreal, just words on a screen, he explained. I didn't know if I would ever see her or if she'd even want to see me. She was pretty angry with me for getting married all those years ago. When I went off to basic, we'd left things open-ended. We thought someday we'd end up back together. But then you did see her, Sarah interjected, bringing the topic back to his era of omission. Right. He dug into the red dirt a bit with his heels, and it was weird at first. You know how it is when you see someone as an adult, someone you grew up with? It's like you have to get to know them all over again. And it's almost harder because you have all these memories, and you're always trying to reconcile the present them with the past them. Sarah nodded. At least he's being open. It's a step. She started packing up their leftovers and stuffing them in her backpack. Let's walk. They hiked down the path and crossed the road to the start of a new trail. He took the backpack from her and slung it over his shoulder. So we talked about it, he continued, his feet pressing into the dusty trail. She saw the impressions of his boots and the length of his stride, but she couldn't bear to scan up his body to see his eyes. She waited to hear what she knew he would say. About making a go of it, marriage, family, all that, like we had talked about when we were kids. But she was holding her breath on that one word. We're both cautious. We just got out of a serious relationship. She just got out of a serious relationship. She never had kids. Her ex was a jerk. You know about my experience, and while I'm getting ready to deploy again. Did you tell her about me? She felt suspended, her heart cast out into the water, waiting for a fish to bite. They were climbing now. She followed him up a slanted rock, watching the rust-colored dirt accumulate on the tread of his shoes. He had yet to answer her question. They looped around and through another formation, the Siamese twins this time, climbing again. He stopped on a ledge to help boost her up onto it. In the distance, the clouds around the snow-capped Pikes Peak had dispersed just enough to give a glimpse of its icy spires touching the heavens. James sat on the cold red rocks and pulled Sarah down next to him. I told her I'm seeing other people. So I don't understand what this means for us, if there even is an us. He needed to pull off the Band-Aid. The faster he tells me he's going to go make babies with his high school sweetheart, the faster I can reset the James channel to something easier to watch, something less painful. I don't really know what any of it means, James said. That's why I didn't tell you, because I really don't know. Sarah's fingers trembled in her gloves, and not from the cold. Her gaze fell to her feet, wondering how they would carry her down this mountain, wondering if she was strong enough for the descent, wondering if the dirt could ever be removed. Her heart was somewhere near her throat. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. James's voice carried on the wind. That was wrong. You've always been honest with me about your other relationships. I just didn't know what to say. Do you love her? Her voice broke through, so fragile, like a rose petal. I think I do, he said quickly. She expected him to hesitate. He zigged when she thought he'd zag. No matter how well she thought she knew him, she didn't. Well, then you should be with her, Sarah concluded, building her resolve. She shifted so she could get her legs under her and get back on her feet. But he pulled her back down. Sarah. He lifted her chin so she was forced to look into his eyes for the first time in this conversation. The tears had already welled and would soon be past the point of no return. He admitted, I'm confused. A tear broke loose and trickled down her cheek. What do you mean? I have feelings for you too. His eyes stayed locked on hers. What kind of feelings? She pressed, still skeptical. She began raining in her heart, forcing it back down into her chest. His blue eyes looked as clear and open as the sky that had parted to reveal Pike's Peak. I care about you a lot. I love spending time with you. I don't know what that means, but I don't want to stop. His arm wrapped around her now, his hand spanning the small of her back. When you left the other day, I stood there trying to imagine never seeing you again, and he took a breath, and I couldn't bear it. I didn't want to imagine it. She allowed him to pull her into his arms. Her face burrowed into his chest, his fingers raking through her hair. She sobbed, wondering what all this meant, if his words were enough, if these feelings were enough for her, as amorphous as they were. Are you okay? He whispered into the ear closest to his lips. She pulled away and revealed her tear-stained face, her swollen eyes and nose, her heart exposed like a deer in the clearing with a hunter's arrow aimed straight at it. This is the time. This is when I let it all out. If I don't tell him now, I may lose him forever. She found her voice. I'm in love with you, James. The words fluttered out like snowflakes, so softly they melted in his eyelashes. Now it was his turn to be suspended, waiting for a but. There's no but, James. I just love you. I want you to be happy, and I know that might not be with me. I love you so much it hurts. But I feel like you put me in this box, and I don't want to be in a box. I just want to be important to you all the time, not just when you feel like it. You are important to me, Sarah. He sounded incredulous that she didn't grasp the depth of his feelings. Of course you matter to me, more than I probably even want to admit. She looked up at him through watery eyes, the sun catching sparks of gold and amber from within their depths. Really? I don't know how to explain it, but I feel love for you too. I don't know what else to call it, he admitted. She felt his heart grasping for an understanding that was just out of his reach. I believe it's possible to love more than one person, she assured him. That's what polyamory is, after all, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's wonderful to be free enough to open your heart in multiple directions. I wish more people could. Your mind is beautiful, he smiled. All of you is beautiful. How can I not love you? When you look into my eyes, I feel like you're staring straight into my soul. No one has ever looked at me like that before. She squeezed his hand. Nearly as many questions remained as the ones that had found answers, like unmatched pairs wandering in the wilderness, waiting to find their missing halves. But there was something, a tiny beam of light piercing the darkness, something to build on, something to nurture. It was a speck of hope she needed to believe in. He covered her lips with his own. His body relaxed as if the burdens he'd been shouldering had disintegrated, shackles falling away. Nestled into his arms, she felt like they were soaring. Here they stood on the top of the earth, surrounded by her mountains. Their fortresses would protect this fragile love till it was strong enough to stand on its own 2 feet. And that's it.
Very good.
Wow, you read us a good part. Normally people tease us with, like, I don't know, the hero and heroine, like not coming together. They'll give us the meet cute or something. But you gave us a
I
meaty,
know. Emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very emotional. Yes.
And I love the Garden of the Gods. So yeah, I could picture it out there. Beautiful.
That's just a place my soul like immediately connected to the first time I visited when I was little, and I've been back several times. I live on the East Coast, so it's very far from me, but been there many times and love studying books there.
Yeah.
Very much enjoyed that. So thanks
you.
for sharing, and even more special knowing that how that book came about. So
Yeah.
So we didn't have any questions pop up, Dawn, but I know that we normally have a few. So do you want to do some questions now, or should we listen to Cynthia Ann first and then bombard them with questions at the end?
Maybe let's do like 2 or 3 maybe, and then we'll pop over to her. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So one of the questions, we get a lot of new authors or readers who want to start writing that end up watching our show, and one of the questions they most often ask is, how did you get started? And then like, what's your process if you're like a pantser or a plotter or all that good
Pantser.
stuff? So
Well, I kind of already answered how I got started publishing, but I've written my whole life. My mom was a teacher. So when I was born, she stopped teaching, and I feel like she just needed to teach. So she started teaching me to read when I was like 3. So when I was 4 and 5, like I started writing like poetry and songs and stuff like that. So I wrote my first book when I was in 1st grade.
nice.
Yeah.
So I've always written. I've never not written. And even like before this, I was blogging. And so, yeah, so it's just very natural for me to write. I don't know how not to. But my process is, it's funny because I'm a very like organized, planning type person in real life, but I am total pantser when I write. And it's so frustrating because I want to be able to plot things out, but then my characters are like, no, screw you. We're going to do what we want. So I kind of have this process that I like to call reverse plotting. So I will write like the first half of the book, just sort of as the characters tell me, and I'm kind of getting to know them and what they want. And then I have like some sort of epiphany where they're like, this will be really cool if this happens, something I never thought of, but they kind of reveal to me as I'm getting to know them. And then to make it work, I go back to the beginning and I sort of plot out what I've already written, and then I change it to match what I know needs to happen now in the end, because now I know what the middle is going to be and what the end is. I already know what the end is going to be, but I know how they're going to get from point A to point B.
Yep.
So I call it reverse plotting. That is my process. It is not as neat and organized as I would like it to be, but like I've done this 60 freaking times now. So
Yes.
apparently it works for me.
Yeah.
I like that called reverse plotting, because that's how I kind of typically do things, and I always just thought it was just a massive chaotic mess. So now I'm going to say I'm a reverse plotter.
There you go. Yeah.
I
Try to make
was
it
gonna
sound,
say that's
it's like deliberate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
super awesome way to explain it and do that. I really respect you for that. Like you're going back and you're like, yes, I'm a plotter, and then I'm notter.
Yes, exactly. My character's like, oh no, you didn't.
Deanna, to answer your question, yes, we already did. You missed it.
I
Come
did answer
on.
that in the
I
comments.
know you got a grandson. Is it grandson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, grandson. Oh, now grandson in the show. Yeah. We'll keep it PG. Deanna's our resident Australian, just so you know. We love her so very much. She always, because it's during the day there. She's always there for us. We love you, Deanna.
She's in the future.
She's in the future.
Yes.
She's our future. Yes. She's our future. Yes, we did ask the question. So you'll have to go to the
She'll have to watch the replay.
replay. Yep.
Was that the trope question?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's her question.
And we got some really good answers tonight, Deanna. So
Mhm.
you're definitely going to want to go back and look at
Watch
that.
the replay.
So
yeah.
But Cynthia, tell us about your process, and if you're a pantser or a plotter, and give us all your
I'm
tips.
a weird. I call myself a planter because I have intentions of plotting that don't come through fruition. So here's how I found that out. I was actually in high school, and I had an amazing English teacher who really inspired us to do a lot of creative writing. And I kind of came up with the character, and I thought, ooh, like I want to write a book. I had no idea what I was doing. So I thought, I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to basically plant this thing.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, pants it. I'm just going to start writing. And I had an image in my head of what the scene needed to be, and it totally went a different direction. And I remember pulling my hands away from the keyboard going, what just happened? That's not what I was going to write. Like, what I was I possessed? What happened? I figured I don't know what I'm doing. I can't do this. And I literally put everything down for like 20 years. And I had this like writer's heart and spirit in my soul until I had like a midlife crisis. And I finally went, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
My daughter had started reading on Wattpad. And I
Mm.
thought that is risk free. It's not going to cost me a dime. Maybe nobody will read it, but I'm not going to feel like it's like out there. But it ended up being a really good sort of risk-free way to try things out, because I wasn't sure, what do I write? Do I write YA? Do I write fantasy? Do I write, because I like it all. So I didn't know what I wanted to write. So I tried all kinds of things, and I kind of landed with this sort of new adult, young adult mixture, like not really young adult. I'm not really writing high school stuff, but more of like post-college, kind of starting life, new adult genre. And I still go with planting. I usually have some spark, and I can sort of see a blurb. That's where I start. And then I have maybe a sentence per chapter ish. And then it usually doesn't follow that path, but I usually know how it's going to end. So beginning, end, in the middle is mush, but that's my process. I just kind of start writing.
Sorry, go ahead, Dylan. I was gonna say I had sort of a middle school school thing too, where mine was like ours. I think it was 7th grade teacher said, okay, like write a short story. And then I was like, crap, I'm gonna fail this. Like I go to turn it in and I'm like, I have to keep going. I can't write a short story. Here's my 2 chapters. And he gave me an A, and he's like, keep going. And so I don't think I actually ever finished it, because it was like Xena Warrior Princess style book, but it's just on a quest with a troll and something magical. But I got an A. But yeah, I think a lot of us started in high school. I got to be honest. Like we were all junior high, middle school, high school. I hear that a lot in authors, where like in school, like I was the one who wanted to write the essay, or
appreciated quiet reading time, right?
Appreciated reading.
Quiet reading time.
Yeah.
So Deanna wants to know, did you have good feedback from Wattpad?
Yes, I did. And that was, it's been like a 6-year journey. I still have stuff on there, series that I kind of tied in there. I have one story there that I wrote during COVID. That was sort of my breakout story that on that specific platform. So I've taken a few of them off, and I'm starting to build right now towards more of an Amazon Kindle Unlimited audience, because you write differently. It's like a series. You're serializing your stories, and every chapter has a cliffhanger, and you have to write consistently and post consistently. But I made a lot of friends there, other author friends and writers, because of the comments and the way that you interact, because it is social media. So having that feedback, it's like having alpha readers, but just having millions of them at your fingertips. And if you can tap into that, it's amazing, because they'll ask you questions. You'll go, I hadn't thought about that. Maybe, or they'll start guessing towards like, oh, maybe this person, or maybe it's going to happen like this. And you're like, oh, they're a little too close to reality. I need to adjust some stuff. So I found it to be like a really good place for me. But now I feel like I'm out of the kiddie pool and into the big ocean, and now I'm drowning.
Oh no.
To me, Wattpad sounds like overwhelming, because there's so much there. So yeah, I think Wattpad sounds like going to Wattpad would be like jumping into, like the big ocean. But
I think
it's very anonymous. So a lot of times, even though you're kind of diving in, there's a lot there. It's flooded. It's hard to get noticed. But once you
Mhm.
kind of get a little bit of a momentum,
Mhm.
and again, it's the social media. So commenting on other authors, and it used to be a lot easier because
Mhm.
authors would like read your book and then all their readers would want to read your book. So it
Mhm.
was easy to get it that way. And they've stopped all that so that you can't see what other people are reading anymore.
Oh, okay.
So that's changed a little bit of how you get things out there, but it's still possible. People still find it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, with that, let's hear from you, Cynthia.
Yay.
I think this is a perfect segue. There you go.
Excellent.
You're up there, and you are the only one after I'm.
Okay, great. Well, I am reading from towards the beginning of my book, Not Another Diva. And the interesting thing about this series, this book and this series in general, it's all almost 100% written from the male main character's point of view. Um, so we really see everything through his eyes. And this particular scene is they've been filming a music video to sort of build up this fake relationship to the public. He's been trying to be a model in Hollywood, and he got picked up to be in this video, and they found out he has some auxiliary skills. He grew up on a ranch. He knows how to use firearms, and he is a black belt in karate. And they thought, oh, well, that would be really great to help you be a bodyguard for this pop star. So now they're trying to paint them as a couple uh, in the video so that it sort of translates into, oh, well, they fell in love filming this movie. And that's why, or sorry, this music video. And that's why they're now together. And, you know, it was like insta love that way. So this is the scene where they're filming the last part of the music video where there's going to be more of a romance, and she's going to be lip syncing the song to him, and he's already starting to have all these feelings he's trying to kind of keep under wraps because he knows the lines are getting blurred. So again, it's from the male main character. His name is Zach, and the pop star is Brianna, and he is telling his this is from his point of view. I look everywhere I can except into Brianna's eyes as I approach the blanket with nerves so strong I can barely stand. For the past hour, I've watched her doing her lip sync thing from down the hill. The director and the camera operator were practically in her face the whole time, getting close ups. She danced on the blanket, kneeled while swaying with her hands in her hair, then rolled all over the ground. I'm not sure why, but I felt embarrassed for her. I don't get the vibe she enjoys any of what they're asking her to do at all, but she goes along with it anyway. The funny thing is, this video seems nothing like the others she's made, and I've literally seen them all. Each song of hers has a fantasy attached to it, made tangible in her videos. The lighting, the costumes, the setting, everything is created to make her seem angelic or like a dream come true, someone that no one could possibly have in real life. But this whole video shoot is so real, it's unnerving. Her outfits have been t-shirts and shorts, no bling or sparkle on any of them. Her makeup has been minimal, no heavy face paint like I saw in every picture of her I found. We filmed in barracks and a park, not some mansion or a private tropical island. It's as if they want this video to look more like a home movie than a fantasy. Oh, dang, why didn't I realize this before? Like Shar said, they're using this video to paint us as a real couple. Home movies would do that. Crap, I'm an idiot. Now here I am about to have my hands all over her for the sake of her safety. This is seriously messing with my head because holy crap, she is so beautiful, especially during the shoot where they have her looking like she's actually attainable for a normal guy like me. I'm no player. I've got no moves or smooth lines to drop on her. I can't woo someone like Brianna to save my life. All I have are these phony scenes made to look like the real thing, and the lines are becoming too blurred for my own good, which is why I can't look her in the eye. If I see her react, I'll misread everything she does. Then I'll overthink everything I do, and that will be the end of my sanity, the end of making this whole scam look real. I can't do that to her, not after I've seen how her fears are eased when I'm with her. Okay, you two, this is the culmination of our project. We'll start with the cameras set back a little like yesterday's karate scene. You just do what comes naturally, and then we'll choose a few moments for close-ups later. The director, some guy named Bryant, sure does like us to improvise. Brianna nods, which I feel more than see because nope, still not looking at her. I take a spot on the blanket and cross my legs. It's a really awkward and unnatural position for me. What would I do if this were a real date? Not sit cross-legged and keep my eyes off my girl, that's for sure. I uncross everything and stretch out, reclining a bit on my elbow. Brianna lies on her back, not right next to me, but close enough that my arm almost touches hers. I turn my head toward her, looking at her arm instead of her face because I still don't trust myself. A gentle breeze carries the scent of her lotion or perfume into my space, floral and sweet. We stay as we are, unmoving for the time being. I guess now we wait for the director to yell action. A few tense minutes pass, both of us silently waiting. I figure the tension is all on my side of the blanket until I hear Brianna blow out a shaky breath. I'm tempted to look at her face, but I keep it in check and look at her shoulder instead. I'm not sure why she's tense about the scene. She does more than this in her videos all the time. I've seen plenty of oiled up, shirtless guys putting their hands all over her with a hungry look in their eyes. Here I am in a blue t-shirt and plaid board shorts, no oil in sight, and I have a feeling this realistic home movie style video will be way less sexual than her usual stuff. She should be completely relaxed at this point. Playback, the director yells. Then the intro into Brianna's song starts and I feel myself start to sweat. This is really happening. My eyes travel from her shoulder to her hair. I love her hair. It looks so soft, and all I've wanted to do for days is run my fingers through it. I'm a mess around her, certainly no alpha male, claim the woman I lust after kind of guy. It occurs to me that's probably why they chose me over the other guys at the audition. I'm safe. That thought does two things to my emotions at the same time. I relax, knowing they trust me, and silently freak out, knowing they trust me. Dang it, I need to pull myself together. The music continues. Brianna's recorded voice singing the intro. My eyes glide to her lips, watching as she mouths the words along to the track. Horrible plan, the worst. Her lips are more tempting than her hair, but I can't look away because she isn't lip syncing this time. She's singing. It's so quiet, I know I'm the only one who can hear her, but dang times a billion if this doesn't absolutely slay me. I watch, fascinated, wholly intoxicated by her mouth and her soft voice. I'm not even taking in the actual words until I notice her mouth turn slightly in my direction. She's facing me, still singing, forcing me to take in the words. No stars, no sight, the dark of night. I've lost what's right in front of me. My heart starts to beat faster. I'm barely aware of my surroundings while I watch her mouth. Suddenly, I'm no longer propped up on my elbow. Instead, I stretch next to Brianna, one arm under my head and the other barely touching her arm, without realizing what I'm doing. I'm hypnotized. The sounds, the fall, I've lost it all, but find it in your eyes, finally. I still haven't looked into her eyes, but I know I'm about to lose the fight any minute now, especially as Brianna starts singing the last part, the part I know by heart already. You're all I see when you look at me. I'm finally free because you've rescued me. That does it. My eyes travel up from her lips to her cheeks, which are slightly flushed. Then finally I looked at her eyes, only to notice she isn't looking at me. She's looking at my lips. Dang, woman, how am I supposed to handle this? I've been holding back so much that every thought and emotion tied to Brianna over the past week has been locked away. Now, however, as the music plays and Brianna sings, basically to me, I let the thoughts drown me. Deep down, I realize this isn't real, whatever it is I'm feeling. I don't know her. She doesn't know me. It's physical attraction and nothing more. But here we are in this strange deal, trying to make it look legit. And the only way I can do that is by actually showing something real. So I give in to every real temptation I've held on a leash until now. My eyes float away from hers, once again finding her hair. Fully untethered, I reach for one of her wavy locks flowing past her shoulder. Dang, if it isn't as soft as I imagined. I twist it around my finger and let the silky strand slip away before brushing my hand gently across her shoulder. Her gentle singing pauses. Then she gasps the same way she did yesterday when I dropped my tunic. Naturally, I'm drawn to her. Look at her. First her mouth, then her eyes. Problem. Big problem. She's looking at me. She's closer than I realized. When did she move in my direction? Or did I move closer to her? Before I can figure it out, her hand touches my face, caressing it. She stops singing, her eyes set on me. At this point, the lock I was keeping on my attraction is long gone. I'm letting everything show. My eyes fix on hers, palms sweating and my heart in my throat. We're inching closer to each other. My eyes drop back to my her eyes drop back to my lips as her hand moves to the back of my neck, pulling me closer. The only thought rushing through my head is that Brianna doesn't kiss during her videos. Except for this one. Her eyes flutter closed as her mouth touches mine. Contact. I'm frozen for a moment, too surprised to react. Then I feel her lips move the slightest bit and the rest of my restraint snaps. I wrap my hand around her back, the other holding her head. The only sound I can hear now is the blood rushing through me. My fingers fist the back of her shirt, pulling her closer as our mouths dance together. She grips my shirt as much as I grip hers. Without conscious thought, my tongue darts out, touching the seam of her lips. To my shock and utter joy, Brianna's mouth opens on contact, and it's on. Tingles shoot through my entire body. I'm dizzy. My heart couldn't possibly be pounding harder than it is now. The frenzy between the two of us is impossible to control. What is this? I don't want it to stop, ever. She's intoxicating. I'm intoxicated simply by her kiss, her mouth, her hands on my back. It's not even an overly sexy kiss, relatively speaking. This kiss is tame. But hot dang if it isn't the best kiss of my life. Cut. And scene.
Oh my gosh. Like, cut, seriously. Dylan, sorry. Cut, seriously, when you said that, it was just like, because I was like, oh. And then you're like, cut. And I'm like, what the? Yeah.
And that's what he said.
Not fair. Yeah, not fair.
Yep.
Great. That was mesmerizing.
Aww.
I love that scene. I mean, I love that scene. It's beautiful.
I always like the guy's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my favorite. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I thought that story was going to be in Brianna's point of view when I originally thought about it. And then I started writing and went, it's in his point of view. And I thought, oh, maybe the first couple of chapters and then I'll switch. But he just kept telling me the story. And I went, okay. There is one surprise chapter in her point of view, but it's hidden in there. You don't know when it's coming. And that's the same for all the books in this series. They're all from the guy's point of view, except for one surprise chapter from the girl.
Okay.
Do you find that you write better in that point of view? I mean, I do. I find I can my chapters come easier or my scenes when it's in the male point of view.
It depends on the character for sure. Yeah. It and how connected I feel to them. I usually just like show a few things to my husband and go, does this sound like a guy? And he'll say yes or no, but he says I do a pretty good job. So
he must talk to you a lot then, because
oh yeah. I mean, that was one of the first things that when we talked on the phone the very first time and I hung up, I went, oh my gosh, that guy talks a lot. I thought guys didn't talk that much. He kept talking and talking. I'm like, all right. So yeah,
but that's perfect for your writer brain because you're just soaking it in. This is how guys talk, and then you
I get a lot of insight from him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is nice. I will ask my husband stuff, and yeah, he's not a talker, so it's nice. It's nice when you have a talker you can rely on.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask; you can just listen.
Yes, seriously. Or
I think I'm the talker in our relationship, so it all evens out. So one of the other questions that we get quite a bit on the show is, what is your favorite trope or couple of tropes to write? And are there any that you like really don't enjoy or haven't, like would refuse to do or anything like that?
Let me see. I personally really like the rivals to lovers. I like that a lot. Fantasy, obviously, enemies to lovers is just woo. But in the contemporary, the rivals to lovers, I like that too. I don't know about. I'm trying to think if there's some I really don't like. I don't know. None that come to mind. Like, oh, I won't ever write that. I've written a lot of stuff, so I don't.
Yeah.
How about you, Phoebe?
I think one of my very favorites is the reverse age gap, older woman, younger man, since that's what I have going on. But because I write poly, My favorite poly dynamic is MMF. So I have that appears pretty frequently in my book. Sailor's Knot is one, Break a Leg is another. If you like MMF, I have a lot of bi characters, so I just like exploring that dynamic, and it's a lot of fun to write. And my last one book like that is actually in 3 points of view. So you get you get both M's and the F in that. So that was really fun to do. And the M's are very different. So that made it really fun. As far as ones I don't like, I'm not a big fan of the whole virgin trope, but I did challenge myself to write it once. So my book in the Spicetopia series, Naughty and Nice, has a virgin minister in it, and it's also a reverse age gap. But I'm glad I challenged myself to do that. I'm also not a big like surprise baby, surprise pregnancy kind of thing, but I did that in the Navigator, and well, I guess I just gave that away. Well, anyway, that's way down the series. You'll forget about it by the time you get to that book. It's like book 5 or something. So anyway, but I like to challenge myself to take a trope I'm not like a big fan of and put my own spin on it. And then like, oh, well, it's actually, I do like that because so
you fixed it.
Yeah, well, that for me anyway. Might not be everybody's taste, but I like it.
Right.
That was going to be my other question, which is another question we get a lot, was, is there a trope? And I'm going to say, and or genre that you wouldn't ever write?
Go ahead, Cynthia. I'm not sure.
I would not be good with like horror or like psychological thrillers, and I've read them. I read a really good one recently that also had a romance in it. I was like, oh yeah, that was good. I could never do that. Just building in all the clues and all of the mystery. That's I don't. My brain doesn't work that way. I could never do it.
I actually do write cozy mystery under my other pen name, so I do really enjoy doing that, and it's kind of fun. My other pen name is very sweet, closed door, no cursing. Like if you had asked for an excerpt from one of those books, like that would have been super easy. But, so it's nice to be able to change gears, but I'm really not like a fantasy or sci-fi kind of person. I edit it a lot, and I really enjoy a lot of the books that I edit in those genres, but I don't think I would ever write that.
Okay, so are you comfortable enough to tell us what that pen name is? Or do you want to keep that a secret? Okay.
No, it's not a secret. If anything, I keep the Phoebe pen name secret because it's the one that, I'm writing like the racy stuff. But no, it's K.L. Montgomery.
K.L.
And I have about 30 some books under that name, some sweet romance, some rom-com, and then I have 3 cozy mystery series as well.
Okay, so how did you know, is Phoebe your real name or a pseudonym as well?
K.L. Montgomery is actually my real. K.L. Montgomery is my real name. Montgomery is my maiden name, so that's my real name. Phoebe Alexander is totally a pen name, and do have a story about it if anybody wants to hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
People always like, how did you get the name Phoebe Alexander? Well, when I blogged on AFF, well, I was basically swinging, so I would chronicle my adventures, and all of my friends had different names. Like I didn't use their real name, obviously. I used a fake name. So I was seeing a Dom, and on my blog, his name was Alexander. And he also had a blog, and on his blog, I was Phoebe. And that's where it came from.
Yeah, I can see how that would work perfectly for you.
Well, that makes sense.
That's awesome. You have a very unique way of getting a pen name or pseudonym.
Yeah,
for sure. Like, I don't know if anybody else has had that.
Yes. The other one is just like I said, it's my real name. It's on my birth certificate. That's not very interesting, but
I love it though. Good job.
But there's a lot of people who use Montgomery as a pen name because I guess it's like very like British sounding or whatever. But like that's literally my real maiden name. So.
I love that. Yeah. I have my great grandma's name is Montgomery, but I didn't use it in my pseudonym. But maybe we're related. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
So, okay.
Well, Dawn, we're kind of pushing up against time.
We are. Yeah.
I know we told you guys
So fast. You guys were right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fun.
So before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to let our viewers or listeners know, where the best place to find you is, if you have any signings coming up or any new releases coming up in the near future? Why don't you go first, Cynthia? Let us know.
I have book 2 in my Hollywood Story series. The one that comes after Not Another Diva is releasing on June 24th, and they're both in Kindle Unlimited. I don't have any signings coming up, but if you look for me, Cynthia Ann Romance, I'm all over the place. Come find me.
Great, thanks.
I don't have any books on pre-order right now because, like I said, I haven't written. But I am hosting Royal Book Bash Under the Palms next month in Fort Myers, Florida. And then I have like 9 other signings. So I'm going to SAS, I'm going to Electric City Love Con, I'm going to Romanticon, I'm going to Smut Lovers. Past Phoebe was very ambitious. And future Phoebe is going to be a little bit more careful because I signed up for
future
like
Phoebe is tired.
Yeah.
Phoebe's going to be very tired by the time September rolls around and I've done all these. I mean, I'm literally going to be gone half the summer. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, I will be all over the place. So hopefully I'll see some of you.
Love it.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. We had a blast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you.
It
was so much fun.
All right, we will see you viewers or AKA readers. Let's see, the 4th Thursday. Got that right in May. And actually, Dylann I won't be there this time.
Yep, Dawn has another obligation, so I will be there with a yet to be named guest hostess. I will have someone.
Unfortunately, I have 2 more obligations, Dylann. So I'm going to be multitasking that day. I'm like, Dylann, I'm sorry.
Well, when you figure out how to clone yourself, make sure you let the rest of us know.
I will, for sure, for sure. All right, we will see you in a couple weeks.
All right, thanks again for being with us.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.